The average 40-year-old Australian has just $97,000 in super, but the median is only $70,000, and that gap is the whole story. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which rung of the super ladder you're standing on right now, and the one move that gets you to the next one. You're 35 years old, and your super balance sits at $28,000, well under the $45,000 median for your age group. Your employer's been paying 12% on your $75,000 salary, so what happened along the way? 2 separate job gaps ate into your contributions. Months where nobody was paying in at all. Add those quiet stretches together, and you've lost years of compounding growth. Money that should have been working for you the entire time. Then in 2020, you pulled $12,000 out early under the pandemic relief scheme. It felt like a lifeline back then, but that $12,000, left alone, could have grown into over $30,000 by retirement. Here's where every age group actually sits, according to the tax office's latest data. Look at your row, and be honest with yourself about whether you're above it, on it, or below it. The good news? Being behind at 35 isn't permanent. The fix isn't complicated. It's just stopping the leaks. No more early withdrawals, no more unpaid gaps, and staying employed long enough for compounding to do its quiet work. Plug those leaks, and by 40, you land somewhere completely different, right on the average. But is average actually good enough? Let's look at what 40 actually looks like for most Australians. Before we climb higher, here's a stat that should bother you. According to recent tax office data, women approaching retirement have about 26% less super than men. Same jobs, same effort, often the same salary, but years away from work quietly drain the balance. Career breaks for caregiving mean missed employer contributions for years at a time, and there's no automatic catch-up built into the system. It compounds silently, decade after decade, until retirement day arrives with a genuinely unequal outcome. A few funds now let partners split contributions to even things out, a rule the tax office itself allows, but most couples never even ask. Worth checking before you assume your household's super is on track. Now, back to the ladder, because 40 is where most people actually sit. You're 40 years old, single income of $85,000, and your super balance reads $97,000, right on the national average. Your mortgage eats $650 a week, so super's the last thing on your mind. Your contributions have been on autopilot since your first payslip. You've never once logged in to check which investment option you're actually in. It's still sitting in the default balanced setting your fund picked for you a decade ago. That default setting is built to be safe for everyone, not optimal for you specifically. At 40, with 25 years left before retirement, sitting in a conservative mix quietly costs you tens of thousands of dollars in missed growth. Being exactly average feels comfortable, like you're doing fine, but average in Australia still isn't enough to retire comfortably. It just means you're not behind. There's a real difference between average and actually on track. The people who pull ahead from here don't earn more money. They just start paying attention, checking their investment option, and adding a little extra voluntarily instead of leaving everything to the default setting their fund chose. Make that switch, and by 45 you're not just average anymore, you're pulling ahead of nearly everyone your age. Here's exactly what that jump looks like in real concrete numbers. Quick detour. Where you live changes this ladder too. In Western Australia and the ACT, median super balances run around $20,000 higher than in New South Wales or Tasmania, at the exact same age. Mining wages in the West and heavy public sector employment in the capital both come with strong compulsory contributions and higher salaries feeding straight into super. Postcode isn't destiny, but it does give some people a real head start. So if your numbers look lower than average, check whether it's genuinely your habits or just your industry and postcode dragging the comparison. Either way, the next rung up is about choices, not luck. You're 45 now and your balance sits at $172,000, comfortably above the median and near the national average. 7 years ago, at 38, you made one decision that changed everything. You switched your investment option from balanced to high growth. Same contributions, same salary, completely different exposure to shares and growth assets. And over 7 years, that single click compounded into real, visible extra money. You also started salary sacrificing $50 a week into super, money that comes out before tax, and as the tax office's own rules confirm, lowering what you owe while quietly building your balance every single fortnight without you noticing it. That $50 a week, plus the deduction you claim at tax time, means the real cost to your take-home pay is closer to $35. It's one of the cheapest ways in the entire tax system to build wealth. None of this felt dramatic in the moment. No lottery win, no bonus, just a boring investment switch and a small automatic transfer every payday. 7 years later, that boring decision put you well ahead of the pack. But here's the thing, most Australians never even reach this point. Before we go further up the ladder, let's talk about just how rare it actually is to get all the way to the top. Estimates vary, but only a minority of Australians retire with a balance that actually meets the official comfortable retirement standard. Some studies put it as low as 1 in 10, others closer to 3 in 10. Either way, most people you know will fall short of that benchmark. It's not just bad luck. Broken work histories, high fees, cautious investment settings, and simply never checking in on the account all quietly stack up against you over 40 years of working life. The people who do get there aren't smarter or luckier. They just made a handful of specific, learnable moves earlier than everyone else. Here's the one move most people have genuinely never heard of. You're 52 years old now, balance sitting at $310,000. 2 years ago, you discovered something buried in the tax rules that most people your age have simply never heard of. It's called the carry forward rule. According to the tax office's own rules, if you haven't used your full concessional contribution cap in previous years, you can carry the unused amount forward for up to 5 years and tip it all in at once. In your case, that unused cap added up to $27,500. A small inheritance let you contribute $15,000 of it in one go, all taxed at just 15% inside super. You also finally checked your fees, down from 1.1% to 0.55% after switching funds. That sounds tiny, but on $300,000, it's real money staying in your account every year. Fee discipline, plus that one tax rule pushed your trajectory further in 2 years than the previous decade managed on its own. Keep that pace going, and by 60, the top rung is genuinely within reach. Here's the honest number. According to ASFA's latest retirement standard, a couple now needs a balance around $730,000, funding roughly $1,500 a week in retirement spending. But getting there usually means 15 years of actively watching fees and investments, money locked away until you're 60, and often working 2 extra years past when you'd hope to stop. It also assumes you own your home outright. A third of this group don't. You're 60 now, balance at $595,000, still working, but already mentally drafting a transition to retirement plan. Whichever rung you're actually on today, the ladder keeps moving as long as you keep climbing it.